Christian concept. In Christianity, the devil is a fallen angel and the ultimate enemy of God, leading humans into sin and falsehood, a narrative solidified by early thinkers like St. Augustine. The devil is the personification of evil, believed to have rebelled against God in an attempt to be his equal. In the Old Testament, the devil is linked to figures like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, Lucifer, Satan, Leviathan, and the dragon in Revelation. Satan is said to terrorize the world, oppose truth, and will be condemned to the eternal fire along with his followers at the Last Judgment. The name Lucifer, meaning morning star, ties to Isaiah 14:12-15, where a fallen being strives to rise above God and is cast down. In the New Testament, the devil is distinct from demons and fallen angels, acts as a tempter, and is even suggested to rule over earthly kingdoms. Jesus' adversaries are implied to be under his influence. The devil is also known for disguising himself. Paul warns he can appear as an angel of light, while Peter describes him as a prowling lion. The title Prince of the Power of the Air is also attributed to Satan, meaning he holds authority over the world's corrupt systems. In Revelation, Satan appears as a great dragon or serpent waging war against the archangel Michael, echoing Old Testament chaos monsters like Leviathan and reinforcing the idea that the serpent in Genesis was Satan all along. Later Christians also saw Roman and Greek deities like Pan as devils. Muslim concept. In Islam, the devil is known as Iblis or Shaitan. Iblis is a jinn made of smokeless fire representing evil, while Shaitan refers to grotesque, invisible evil forces of mischief and corruption. When God created Adam, he commanded the angels to bow before him. Iblis, out of pride and envy, refused and claimed superiority. As punishment, Iblis was condemned to hell, but was granted permission to tempt humanity, starting with whispering to Adam and Eve, though the righteous would resist him. In Islam, evil created by God as a test of faith isn't Iblis rebelling against him, but against humans. Unlike Christianity's rule of hell, Iblis merely tempts, stirring anger, impure thoughts, and distractions from prayer. Some traditions also describe devils as hermaphroditic creatures of hellfire that corrupt souls. Sufi philosophy casts the devil as the ego, pulling humans from the divine, saying, "I, too much, risks arrogance, a privilege only God holds." Salafi views see unbelievers as under Shaitan's sway, yet classical Islamic thought denies evil independent power, defining it as the absence of good with God alone supreme. Satanic concept. In Satanism, there are two main views on the devil. Theistic Satanists see the devil as a real supernatural being, worthy of worship, often associated with knowledge, rebellion, and individuality. Or even pre-Christian figures like Lucifer or Pan. Some, like the Ophite cultus Satanas, link Satan to the serpent in Genesis as a liberator against the tyrannical creator Yahweh. Others believe Satan is actually the Egyptian god Set. They see Satan as a guide for self-development and independence rather than a ruler. Atheistic Satanists, like those in LaVeyan Satanism and the Satanic Temple, don't see Satan as a literal being but as a symbol of human nature, rebellion, and free thought. LaVeyan Satanists focus on pride, indulgence, and personal power, viewing Satan as an adversary to restrictive religions like Christianity. The Satanic Temple takes a more activist approach, using Satan as a symbol of justice and defiance against oppression. Jewish concept. Judaism doesn't traditionally recognize a supernatural devil opposing God. Before exile, Judaism saw Yahweh as authoring both good and evil, leaving little room for a cosmic adversary. In the Hebrew Bible, Satan can mean human foes, but as a specific figure, Ha-Satan, it appears only twice. In Zechariah as an accuser in God's court, and in Job, testing faith with divine permission. Most Jewish interpretations treat Satan as either a metaphor for human inclination towards sin, or as a divine agent carrying out God's will. The Talmud, the central text of Rabbinic Judaism, presents Satan in various roles, sometimes as an angel of death, sometimes as a tempter appearing in human form to test individuals. In Kabbalah, from Jewish mysticism, Satan is called Samael, linked to the demonic realm known as Sitra Achra, with the demon Lilith as his consort. Tengriist concept. In Tengriism, Erlik is the ruler of the underworld Tamak and a devil-like figure, embodying a dual nature where good and evil balance within the cosmic order. Myth says Erlik was the first human aiding God, or Ulgen in some versions, to create the earth. Sent to gather mud from the primordial waters, Erlik had some in his mouth to craft his own world. As the earth expanded, the hidden mud troubled him, and God forced him to spit it out, forming swamps, deserts, and wastelands. For his deceit, Erlik was banished to rule over evil. Tengriism sees death as a transition to the invisible world, not an end, but in Tamag, Erlik and his sons, sometimes depicted as 9 underworld judges, enslaved the souls of the wicked. Slavic concept. Chernobog, meaning Black God, is a dark, devil-like figure in Slavic mythology, often seen as the Defiler, bringer of misfortune and corruption, or ruler of winter and night. He is considered the opposite of Belobog, the white god, representing purity and goodness. Though little is known about Chernobog, his name was used as a curse in Old Slavic languages to describe something extremely negative. Some scholars believe he was an actual deity of evil, while others argue he was simply a symbol of bad fate, later linked to the Christian devil by medieval monks reinterpreting pagan gods. Whether he truly existed in Slavic religion remains debated. Manichaean concept. Manichaeism, a former major world religion from ancient Iran, embraces a strict dualism between good and evil. God reigns in the kingdom of light, wholly separate from the devil, known as the Prince of Darkness, echoing the Persian Ahriman, who rules the kingdom of darkness. Here, the world emerged when darkness attacked light, mingling their elements and trapping humans, mixtures of light and dark particles in the devil's grasp. At time's end, the Prince of Darkness and his forces will be sealed away, ensuring light and darkness never touch again. Mandean concept. In Mandaeism, a Gnostic religion blending Greek, Iranian, and Jewish influences, Ruha was once part of the world of light, but rebelled against the great life, falling into darkness to become queen of the underworld Sheol. She's a deceitful sorceress and seductress, a force of chaos embodying pure evil. She created also called Leviathan, a massive, terrifying dragon-like being who reigns as king of the world of darkness. Together they rule the underworld, creating the 7 planets and 12 zodiac constellations, celestial forces seen as oppressive, trapping souls in material existence. Also in the underworld dwells Krun, the mightiest of 5 infernal lords, lurking in the lowest depths as the ominous Mountain of Flesh. This underworld teems with terrors: Lilith, vampire-like Nalai, hobgoblins called Niuli, and devils known as Latabi. Buddhist concept. In Buddhism, there isn't a direct equivalent to Satan, but Mara serves as a devil-like figure. He is a malignant celestial being, often seen as the embodiment of desire, darkness, death, and illusion. Mara tried to distract the Buddha from achieving enlightenment, using his celestial army and tempting him with visions of beautiful women, said to be his daughters. He represents forces that hinder spiritual progress, such as lust, hesitation, and fear. In both literal and psychological interpretations, Mara is seen as a barrier to enlightenment. His image often appears in Buddhist art, with Buddha depicted in a defiant pose against Mara's influence. In Sri Lankan traditions, Mara rides a giant black elephant named Giri Mekala. Zoroastrian concept. In Zoroastrianism, the concept of the devil starts with the dualism of good and evil, with Ahura Mazda, the supreme god, representing good, and Angra Mainyu, or Ahriman in later Persian, representing evil. These two forces are in an eternal struggle, but neither is all-powerful. Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit, is tied to suffering and destruction in the world. However, he is not eternal. Eventually, he will be defeated at the end of time. This dualistic view had a big influence on later concepts of Satan in Abrahamic religions. Ancient Egyptian concept. While not devils in the modern sense, the gods Set and Apep were major antagonistic forces. Apep, the serpent of cosmic chaos, embodied darkness and disorder, constantly battling Ra, the sun god. Myths depict him waiting in the western mountains, lurking near dawn, trying to prevent the sun's rise. In some accounts, Ra defeated him in the form of a cat. Set, the god of chaos, storms, and violence, killed his brother Osiris to seize his throne, later battling Osiris' son Horus for power. However, he also helped Ra repel Apep during his nightly journey. Gnostic concept. In Gnosticism, the Demiurge, often called Yaldabaoth, Sakla, or Samael, is a flawed, tyrannical creator of the physical world, contrasted with a higher, true god. Gnostic traditions view the material world as inherently evil, governed by this inferior deity, and some Gnostic sects, like the Scythians or Marcionites, equated this creator with the Old Testament God. Certain Gnostic texts even cast the Eden serpent as a hero, not Satan, delivering knowledge against the Demiurge's will. The Cathars, a 12th century European sect influenced by Gnosticism, had dualistic views. One camp saw evil as entirely separate from the good God, while another cast Lucifer as an evil fallen son of God, twisting the prodigal son parable with Christ as the good son. Māori concept. Whiro-te-tipua, sorry for the pronunciation, is the lord of darkness and embodiment of all evil in Polynesian mythology. He is responsible for the ills of all people, contrasted to his brother and enemy, Tane, the god of light and forests. Usually depicted as a lizard-like being, Whiro rules the underworld, where he feeds on the dead to grow stronger. Some say that if he consumes enough bodies, he will one day escape and devour everything on the surface. This is why cremation is preferred. Ashes give him no power. His domain is the House of Death, a deep cave where black magic and diseases originate. Geckos, skinks, and tuatara were feared for their connection to him. Secular concept. In atheistic and existential views, Satan isn't a supernatural being, but a human-made idea. Evil isn't a cosmic force, it's a construct born from our actions and choices, needing no devil to explain it. Atheist Nietzsche said, God is dead, meaning that for him, traditional religious morals have lost their authority, and Satan is more of a symbol of rebellion than an actual entity. Philosopher Albert Camus saw life as absurd and meaningless. He viewed Satan as the chaos we struggle against when we try to find purpose in a world without gods. In this view, Satan isn't a mastermind, just a metaphor for defiance and disorder. Unlike religious takes, Satan here shifts blame from cosmos to human will. Literary concept. Literature has given us some of the most famous versions of Satan or the devil. In Dante's Inferno, he's a massive, three-faced demon trapped in ice at the center of hell, endlessly gnawing on Brutus, Cassius, and Judas. His wings flap, creating the freezing winds that keep him imprisoned. In the Faust legend, Satan takes the form of Mephistopheles, the demon who tempts Dr. Faustus into selling his soul for 24 years of earthly pleasure. Then there's Milton's Paradise Lost, where Satan is reimagined as a tragic, charismatic rebel who defies God out of pride, making him one of the most complex literary anti-heroes ever written. Sikh concept. In Sikhism, there's no direct concept of Satan or the devil, but evil is represented through Maya and the 5 thieves: pride, lust, greed, attachment, and anger. These forces act as temptations, steering humans away from spiritual growth and God, creating a state of duality which leads to suffering. Bahá'í concept. The Bahá'í faith doesn't believe in the devil as a literal being, but sees Satan as a metaphor for the selfish, lower nature of humans. Instead of external demons or fallen angels, evil is understood as turning away from God and giving in to self-centered desires. In this view, satanic isn't about a literal devil, it's just what happens when people let their ego define their actions instead of focusing on spiritual growth.